Welcome to Your Choice, Your Money. I'm your financial coach, Aaron Smith. Thanks for tuning into our show. We're going to be pausing just for a moment as our followers start to come on this evening. Once again, we are conducting this event from our office, Facebook Live this evening. I'm here in Richmond, Virginia. Once again, thanks for joining us here at Your Choice, Your Money. Once again, we're excited about sharing with you, excited about providing information to you that's going to help you increase your knowledge as it relates to the language of money. Once again, we're going to slow down just a moment. We're going to allow our followers to come on this evening. We've got a great show for you this evening. I have a guest with me this evening, which is Patricia Smith. We're going to talk a little bit about, I'll share a little bit more about Patricia in just a moment. But once again, this is Your Choice, Your Money. I hope that you have something to write with, something to write on as we share with you this evening. It's always important to have something that you can be able to get back to be able to really clearly remember the conversations that are given to us, and that's why I always ask that we have something to write with, something to write on. It certainly helps us with our memory. Once again, thanks for choosing us this evening. We are excited about sharing with you. If you are a first-time viewer of Your Choice, Your Money, this show has been prepared to help you increase your wealth. That's what it's all about, is to help you increase your wealth. And we're talking about your financial wealth. That's what it's designed to do, help you increase your financial wealth, to help you be better prepared financially for those events that are happening in your daily lives. So once again, thanks for choosing our show. We're going to talk about the middle class trust this evening. We're going to talk about the middle class trust. And certainly, if you have questions, Sharon, you can post your questions. If you have statements that you want to make, Otis, please make those statements. We're once again want to allow this opportunity to be an opportunity that we can communicate together with, if you will. So once again, thanks for tuning into our show. We are just about there. We see our followers starting to come on, and we're just about there. If you're not sure about a certain topic or a certain concern that you have as it relates to your hard-earned money, you can reach us at 877-351-2508. That's 877-351-2508. You can also, if you will, visit our website at awsmithfinancial.com. That's awsmithfinancial.com. Thanks for joining us once again this evening. Thank you for not only joining us, but thank you for wanting to really understand and learn and increase your knowledge about personal finance. That's right, about personal finance. This is Your Choice, Your Money. We also are going to, after each show going forward, we're going to be able to post this, or we're going to post this on our YouTube channel. I have to get clarity on how to get there, actually. I'm very new at technology. Technology is not something I'm very, very comfortable with. I kind of muddle through it, but I get it done. But we're gonna have our shows actually created on YouTube as well. So if you will, share the information with someone. Tell them what we're talking about this evening. We're talking about the middle class trust. I want to talk about a trust just for a second, if you will. Let's talk about what is a trust. A trust is a one party, where one party, which is the trustee, is willing to rely on the actions of another party, which is called the the trustor versus the trustee. Let me start over again. Let me be clear. A trust is where one party, the trustor, is willing to rely on the actions of another party, which is called the trustee. All right. Now, the trustee or the trust has a right to hold property. It can hold not only property, but it also can hold title. It not only can hold property and title, but it also can hold, ladies and gentlemen, your assets. That's what a trust can hold, right? And it holds it for the benefit of a third party, or what we may call a beneficiary. Okay, that's a trust. All right. What we're going to be talking about this evening, we're going to be talking about a middle class family trust. So we're going to be talking about a family trust. What is a family trust, right? But first, before we get into exactly what is a family trust and how to participate or understand or establish a family trust, let's talk about a middle class. What is middle class? Or is a trust designed for middle class? Ladies and gentlemen, trust is not a fancy word. It's not a scary word. And it's not only used by individuals who are wealthy or by individuals who are ultra wealthy. You, if you are a middle class individual, you also can have a trust. I want you to think about this for just a moment. Let's talk about family. And I'm going to connect this family or this middle class trust to a family. But let's talk about family for just one second. Generally, with family, we have a relationship. There's a relationship with the family. The family also has a tendency, and certainly we all have our challenges, but we as a family have a tendency to work together. We want to participate together. I want you to think of a family as a team. As I got your back and you have my back. I want you to think about a family in that way. And then I want you to connect that family to a trust. In other words, I want you to be able to understand that you can take the dynamics of a family and you can allow that family to build wealth, to manage wealth, to hold wealth, to protect wealth through a trust called a family trust. Once again, we started to see more people come onto our show. Thanks for tuning into our show this evening. Gloria, thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to share with you. Denise, we appreciate the opportunity to share with you as well. Kevin, thank you for joining our show this evening. We are once again so excited about sharing with you the ability to build wealth. And we're specifically this evening talking about a middle class family trust. All right. What is a family? What is a trust? What is middle class? Why can't you participate as a middle class individual in a trust? You can do this as well as anyone else who may be wealthy or may be ultra wealthy. You see a young lady sitting over next to me here. This is my wife. This is Pat. Say hello, Pat.
Hello, Pat.
All right. This is
Hi,
Pat.
everyone.
All right. And what we're going to do this evening as we're going through the details a little bit on this trust, and I'm going to pull some numbers up here in just a moment here. As we're talking about the trust, we're going to talk a little bit to Pat. Pat's been working alongside me in the business for as long as we've been in existence, 23 years. And she has seen, if you will, Trevin, she has seen a lot more probably than what I have seen. And she's heard a lot more than I've probably heard, because I am so keen and focused on sitting down with individuals and helping them make good personal decisions with their money and going out and doing workshops with organizations and corporations to help them talk about what to do with the assets that they own. And Pat has been really there to be able to kind of share with me some of the positives and or negatives that she sees, or flaws that she sees, if you will, Deborah, with Aaron Smith. So in just a moment, I'm going to get into having a conversation with Pat, and we're going to talk about some of the characteristics, that she has been able to observe with individuals who have or who are making good decisions with their hard-earned money to help them reach, Renita, their personal financial goals. So before we get into that, I want to talk just a little bit more about this trust, and I want to talk about why the trust is important for you as you start to develop the opportunity to build wealth, not only individually, but also having the opportunity to build wealth with your family. I want you to raise your hand. I want you to send me a note, if you will. Give me some type of signal. If you are one of the family members in your family that always gets the call, when there's a need for money, why don't you drop me a note? Give me a amen. You're that individual that your cousin is going to call, your brother or sister, your sibling is going to call, just in case they need to make a loan. Or better yet, they're not interested in the loan. They're actually interested in you gifting them some money. I want you to make a note. I want you to send me a amen on it, if you will. But nevertheless, what a family trust is designed to do is designed to allow you as a family member, or you all as a family member collectively, to be able to put some dollars away, and you can design, Deborah, this trust the way that you all feel you want to design it. So it's having a conversation or communicating with your family about how you want to design the trust. See, ladies and gentlemen, you can design this with 3 family members, 5 family members, 10 family members, or even 20 family members. You make a decision on how many family members will participate in this trust. Not only are you allowing that individual or these individuals, including yourself, to participate in the trust, you're also allowing them to be able to benefit from the trust based on how you design the trust. So for example, if you will, Fred, you may say, well, this trust is designed for individuals in the trust, for family members in the trust, if they happen to lose their job and they need some wealth or need some dollars to tide them over till they get a new job. It could be used for a family member as it relates to college education. You may have some nieces and nephews, and all of you pool a certain amount of money in monthly. And as those kids start to go to school, this money can be used for school. So there's multiple ways to be able to use this trust. This trust can be used to help to build wealth within the family. You may decide that you want to buy a piece of property, or you want to buy properties down the road, and you all are contributing to the trust, and the dollars in the trust are used as help, or to help you be used as down payment, maybe, to be able to finance the purchase of a piece of property. See, Veronica, you could also use this trust as a family trust in case one or all of you are interested in maybe doing a business. You might want to design a business. Have a very good idea. You want to create the business. The business is now be able to use those dollars within the trust. Let me kind of give you an example of one thing here. I'm going to pull up some numbers here. I'm going to talk just a moment about this trust. And remember, the trust can be used. What can be put in the trust? Assets can be put in the trust. What are some assets that can be put in the trust? Real estate can be put, Greg, in the trust. Trina, not only real estate can be put in the trust. That could be stocks and bonds put in the trust. That's an asset that can go inside of the trust. But let me just share one thing with you just for a moment. I'm going to talk about, before we get to Pat, and I'm going to allow her to have most of the evening this evening as we go along here. I've only been talking, seems like I've been talking for a long time, but I've only been talking for about 13 minutes now. So let me kind of give you an example here, if you will, my followers. I want you to take a formula, the time value of money. That's a financial formula, the time value of money, the future value of an annuity, right? And I want you to think about this for a second. And I'm going to use this number $300. It could be less, it could be more, but just hypothetical. We're going to use $300 as the time value of money, the future value of an annuity. And you were contributing, if you will, Kevin, $300 a month into an account that you own. Let's say it's a stock that you're using. Let's just use that for an example. You're putting into a stock or a stock portfolio $300 a month. And let's make an assumption, because this is not a guarantee. Let's be clear, this is not a guarantee, but let's use an assumption that you're earning 8% rate of return. So you're making 8% rate of return, if you will, James, along with the fact that you are contributing $300 a month. And let's also make the assumption that you do this over a 20-year period. So Renita, you're putting the money in for 20 years, you're earning an 8% rate of return, which is not guaranteed, but just a hypothetical. And once again, you're putting 300 at 8%, and it's over 20 years. The value of that annuity, or the value of that account based on the time value of money, is now worth $177,864. I want you to think about this for just a moment. And I think about it sometimes. I think about if my family, if my parents had the wherewithal, if they had the knowledge, if they had the skill set, if they had the personal financial knowledge to know that they could have contributed $300 a month, $300 a month, and did it just over 20 years at an average of 8% return, that there would have been an accumulation of $177,000. But I want you to think about that family trust for a second. What if you had four people inside of that trust? You divide $300 by four people. Four people are putting in what? You add the numbers into that trust on a monthly basis over a 20-year period. That $177,000 plus dollars would be there in the trust. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you build wealth. Contribution. In other words, you got to participate, Veronica. You got to do something, right? You got to participate. All right? You got to be in the game. You got to play the game. So that's one thing that you have to do. You have to contribute. You have to participate. Another thing that you have to do is you have to get a rate of return. You have to put the dollars in something that's going to give you a rate of return. All right? And then the third thing that you have to do is you have to be patient. You have to give it time. If you give it time to mature, it's just like, once again, as I always say, putting seed into good soil and allowing it to mature. You have to be patient. Once again, this is your choice, your money. I've been 18 minutes. I got some questions for Patricia. If you had any statements or any questions, please post those statements, post those questions. Once again, we're so excited about being with you. If you'd like to visit our website, that's awsmithfinancial.com, awsmithfinancial.com. If you have a personal concern about your personal finance, maybe you are retiring soon, maybe you're interested in a family trust. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be planning your children's education. You may simply just want to eliminate that nagging debt that you have. You reach out to us at 877-351-2508. I introduced Patricia just a moment ago. For you who have just started to come on to our show, I have my wife who is next to me, but also she is my business partner. And we are so excited about sharing with you this evening. She has seen things and heard things that Aaron has not. She can give you some insight on some of the benefits that are positive and maybe even not so positive when it comes to helping build wealth. She's going to talk a little bit about that now, but before I get her engaged, or while I get her engaged, I want to, a matter of fact, let me pose this question, if you will. Patricia Smith, if you will, could you share with our followers, could you share with them what are some of the characteristics? What are some of the characteristics of an individual who really is comfortable or good at making really good financial decisions with their hard-earned money, who are trying to reach their personal financial goals? What are some of the characteristics that you have been able to observe over the 20 plus years of that type of individual? What do they look like?
From a characteristics or trait perspective, when individuals either come into the office or call to the office for the first time, they're eager and wanting to start or enhance their financial planning. When we're talking about traits, we're talking about individuals that's usually patient with the process, because the process it's not an overnight process. It takes time. They're usually an open thinker, meaning that they will succumb or let loose and let the abilities of Aaron as the advisor utilize what they've given them and to help them reach their retirement or financial goals. They're also responsible. They follow through, they follow up, they come to the appointments, they have all the material that's needed to get started. As I stated, some individuals have been in the process before, and they just need more of a financial or professional to guide them. I also, in talking to them, find that they have attributes that were put in place when they were younger. They surrounded themselves with their family members, or mom and dad, so to speak. They were also savers. So they have those characteristics that have been passed down to them from their parents. And so they take that upon themselves. And they also, I find that they are passing that information down to their children as well. So those are just a few as far as some of the things that I see.
Let's go back for 1 second. Let me interrupt you. Excuse me for 1 second here. Let me make sure we're on the same page. What I'm hearing you say is that a lot of individuals who really are engaged in making good decisions, they generally have a foundation, and that foundation is developed from their younger years.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I mean, I'll use myself as an example as far as my mom liked to have she had a room almost like, or it was more than a shoebox, where she stuffed all her bills and all of her paperwork. And it was mountains among mountains, because she didn't want to throw anything away. And I find myself doing the same thing, because that's something I saw her doing, and I've picked up that habit. I acknowledge that, and I've gone through and I, kind of on my own distribute different papers and remove myself from that. But it was a habit. It was something I saw her do. So with that, I took on that as an attribute of a trait of mine. So again, definitely your surroundings, and even now as adults, who you hang around with. Do you hang around, or you surround yourself with individuals that are savers? Or do you surround yourself with people that financially they're not in the best place? So those people and those activities of those people influence you, whether you think so or not.
Okay, good. All right, good. So let me go here. Many times we have individuals who come into the office, and coming into the office, one of the things that we require or ask of them is they bring their personal financial documents, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about, if you will, just for a moment, your experience or your knowledge as being working closely in, and why is it that some people have a very challenged time disclosing their personal finance and providing their financial documents? Because that's something necessary that you have to help them make good decisions. Why do you find that to be the case?
There's a couple of reasons. Sometimes, especially for newcomers, is a trust factor. Sharing all of that information right off the bat sometimes can be to someone they don't know, can draw them back. So we have to kind of like carouse them to let them know there's no way we can perform the information or the task at hand without that information. Others, under the same line of being hesitant about disclose, is because of the amount that they've saved over a course of their lifetime. And they are ashamed, they'll say they're embarrassed, but we also let them know that, while you may have made the decision later in life as opposed to starting earlier, the thing is that you're starting. So those are some of the hesitance that I see as far as the lack of having their finances in the place they want them to be, and a trust factor, not knowing us as a group yet to let go some of that.
Okay, good. All right. All right. Once again, this is your choice, your money. I want to once again thank each and every one of you in regards to tuning into this show. If you are new to this show, no matter where you are around the globe, this show is designed to help you increase your knowledge as it relates to the language of money. Pat just mentioned our foundation, the behaviors that we pick up as it relates to money, the behaviors or the ideas and concepts that we don't learn as it relates to schooling us on personal finance. Personally, I didn't learn about personal finance when I was in elementary school, high school, going to one of the best colleges. That's right, Spiders, Richmond Spiders. I perceive to be one of the best universities in the country. They didn't teach us in that school about personal finance. They did teach about business, right? You go into the business school, we talked about business strategies. We talked about how to help a corporation become more successful, but we didn't talk about the personal finance that you need as you're earning your hard-earned dollars. Let me go here, Pat. Let me ask you this question. And this is interesting, that many times we'll have individuals who want to come into the office, and in some cases they're married. In a lot of cases they're not married, but they have a partner. And we always say, if you're coming to the office to talk about your personal finance, are you bringing your partner? Are you bringing your husband? Are you bringing your wife to the appointment? And sometimes they say, well, my wife or my husband or my partner, they won't be involved in my financial planning. Tell me some of the pros and cons to that, if you will.
When we have individuals that may be married and they decide that at this particular time, most of what we hear when it's a couple, an individual, they say, well, I want to come first by myself and let me see how the process goes first. Then I will go back and talk to my spouse, and then, we'll decide to move forward. That can vary as far as reasons why. A lot of times, believe it or not, one or the other spouse does not want the other to know maybe what debts they've accumulated over the course of the last few years, or even the length of the relationship. You even be surprised that some of the individuals may not want their spouse to know how much money they've accumulated in their 401k or retirement packages. So is a process to let them know that working together as they build this wealth will be more of a benefit to them as opposed to working separately. Because if you live in the same house, you have the same electrical bills, you have the same house payment, all of that as expenses.
File taxes together.
Exactly. That makes an impact on how Aaron moves forward in your financial planning. So while we do encourage individuals to come, we encourage you to come as a couple if you're married, if your goals are the same in getting to that financial place you want to be as a couple. And it also sets the tone for your children. I'm an advocate of leaving an inheritance to your children. And as you set the example as a couple, if you're married, a couple, your children will see that. And they will ask questions, and then you will be able to go at some point in time when you're ready to share with them what you've accumulated together as a family, and that'll set the tone for them to start their process in saving and preparing for their future.
All right, good, excellent, wonderful, great news. Once again, this is your choice, your money. Pat, you mentioned a little bit about the children. Tell me why it's important, or why do you perceive that it's important that you start to engage your children in understanding personal finance and the ability to build wealth while they're young? Why is that so important?
Wow. A lot of my enthusiasm about the business comes from personal experiences. And I know at the age maybe of 16, I was a senior in high school, and my grandfather passed away. And unfortunately, at the time of his death, there was no insurance. And that bothered life insurance. Yes, there was no life insurance. And his children had to come together as one and take out loans and do whatever's necessary to make sure there was a proper burial. And seeing that as a young person, I just vowed to myself that I would never put my parents in that position. So I think my first job, I was 18 years old, I got my first insurance policy. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to cover my car note or pay off my car and have enough for burial, because that was something I didn't want my parents to go through with me. And that's something I tell my children. I give them example, and I go back to sharing your story and letting your children know the importance of saving money, the importance of taking care of each other, the importance of leaving a legacy. So again, a lot of my enthusiasm about sharing information comes from personal experience, things that I've experienced as a member of a family and then seeing others. So that's really important. And if, as Aaron always said, or he put it really bluntly one time when he was sharing with a group of people, saving for others is something that you don't have to do. You do it because you love. And the love that you have for your loved ones or your family members, that's why you put things in place to garner enough for them to be able to establish themselves and keep the family name going.
All right. All right. Once again, your choice, your money. I'm your financial coach, Aaron Smith. I want you to think about this, if you will, on my followers. This is something that hopefully we can, you could, take from this conversation and move forward with, is that at the end of the day, if your son and your friend's son started a meet or actually participated in a track meet, and they were running the 100-yard dash on 100-yard meter dash, right? And your son started at the 50-meter mark, and your friend's son started at the starting line, right? Who's going to get to the finish line faster, right? Okay. No matter how gifted that God has given that gift to your friend's son, and no matter how trained they are, they're not going to win, ladies and gentlemen, that race. The point I'm making is that each and every one of you who are on our show this evening, I want you to create an unfair advantage. I want you to start at the 50-meter. I want your children and your grandchildren to start at the 50-meter mark. And the reason is because if they are able to do that, they're going to be so positioned to financially be successful. What is financial success? Financial success is not having this pile of money, right? It's having the ability, because you have this wealth or this pile of money, to be able to start a business when you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do that. To be able to send your kids to the best schools, right? That's what it's all about. It's about being able to start at an advantage. It's nothing wrong with an advantage, ladies and gentlemen, as long as you create the advantage. You didn't take it from anybody. You just created the advantage. And that is what Pat is talking about this evening. As we move on, kind of, if you will, Pat, share with me a bit about fear and greed. Why is it that some individuals, when it comes to financial planning or investing, why do they fear? And then why are they greedy? I want you to kind of engage in that just a little bit, if you will.
Okay, you're gonna put me on the spot there. I guess again, when we talk about fear, we're going to talk about lack of knowledge, because, and I can always use myself because my personal experience is when we don't know what we don't know, we don't move forward on it. And the ability to learn and be around individuals, or we have the internet at our exposure now. And again, I'm going to go to a personal experience. When I worked at a local bank here, Central Fidelity Bank, I worked with some older individuals in the department I worked on, and they would get their quarterly 401k statement. And I had been with the bank for 2 years, and I just saw it and didn't move on it and had no clue what it was until this gentleman's first name was John. He said, "Where's your statement?" And I said, "I don't participate in that." And he was like, "Why?" I was like, "I don't have enough money to put aside. I got bills to pay. I got things to do. I can't see letting that money go when I could be using it now for myself." John, being who he was, he had the wherewithal to know that at 21, 22 years old, I was more of a visionary person. I had to see it versus him telling me. So he pulled out his statement of 5 years and showed me how he had participated just for 5 years with he was putting in, which was the max, and what the company was putting in. And he had accumulated over a 5-year period on the upwards over $60,000. I immediately called the Human Resource Department and got my form and started participating in that. And it wasn't a sense that I didn't start. It was, again, lack of knowledge, what comes under my definition of sometimes fear of the unknown, fear of getting started. When we're talking about greed, I can see that individuals like overindulge. They're looking for something to happen yesterday as opposed to waiting the process through. And that's what I sometimes, which is very rarely, Aaron does a really good job of explaining to individuals the process and the length of time that it may take for a person to get from point A to point Z. But sometimes you have individuals that they want to move fast. And a lot of the reason they want to move fast is because they started late. They started late in the process. So they need to get from A to Z, not on a 365-day period of time. They need to get there in 35 days. Because they're aware at a point now that they need the resources right away.
And that causes us to fall into gimmicks,
yes,
the scams,
yes,
gimmicks, because
yes,
we're trying to get it quick.
Yes.
Yes.
So that greed factor, as it pertains to things that I see on a day-to-day basis, is not necessarily trying to push people out the way and running fast and trying to get to something. Is more so I'm behind the 8 ball and I had to move fast. So in order to get there, like Aaron was saying, maybe I'll be more riskier than my age requires me to be, as opposed to, hey, I'm where I am now. Let's start a game plan so I can at least get to some point of comfort when I'm at the point of retirement.
All right, wonderful. Thanks for tuning into our show. Look here, we're just about at the end of our show. My battery is getting ready to run out here too. I didn't plug my computer up. But once again, this is your choice, your money. I'm your financial coach, Aaron Smith. Tune in next week, 7 p.m. Once again, helping you increase your knowledge as it relates to the language of money. God bless you. We look forward to talking to you next week. We'll see you soon.
Good night.